Okay, so this is the first video of our compass project, and in this video we'll be looking at part 1, how to make the compass leg. So in our document here we go through step by step how to make this leg, and in the video we'll just be following these steps to show you how to do it in real time. Okay, so just a few things there on the setup of my workspace. I have the main name, I suppose, of the project called Compass Project, and then down here if you right click onto this Part Studio tab you have the option of renaming here as well. So I'm going to rename this tab Compass Leg before I begin. Okay, and I'm going to right click on this part in a minute as well once I start drawing, and I'm going to rename this part here Compass Leg as well. Another thing I can do before I start off is just to make sure that my preferences are set up properly. So in the document here, when you're setting up the OnShape account, we go through how to set up your account, but also how to make sure that your preferences are done properly here as well. So the preferences that I'll be using in this video and all the videos to come is unit length of millimeters to 1 decimal place, angle unit to degrees 1 decimal place, mass grams 1 decimal place, and time format 12 hours. The mouse settings, which is probably the most important, should be set to SolidWorks. Okay, so this makes for easy going back and forth from software to software. So keep your mouse settings as SolidWorks. So once we have them preferences set up, all you need to do is go into this menu, click on preferences, and you'll be able to change them. Once you've changed them, you're ready to begin. So we go into our document here and we'll be looking at this part 1, compass leg, and we're going to go to step 1. So click create and select a new document. Wait for OnShape to load the workspace. So that's what I've done already. I've clicked on new document and I've set up this document here, Compass Project. Step 2, sketch this shape onto the top plane. So we see this dot here as being the origin. Okay, so the origin is the point where our 3 planes meet. Okay, so from here we're going 140 mil to the left, 5 mil up here at an angle, and that is rising 3 mil, going across 20 mil, going all the way across here to the end, down, across, and down again. Okay, so what I want to do first is to draw that out roughly. So go to my OnShape, and we're drawing this onto the top plane. So clicking on our top plane and clicking on sketch. So once you pick sketch, it's asking now, so select a sketch plane. So it's saying, what do you want to sketch onto? I want to sketch onto this top plane. What do I want to sketch? I want to sketch a line. So click on line, and I'm going to try to draw that out. So I remember the first line was 140 mil long. So I try to get around that length. Then we're going vertically up. Then we're going up at an angle. We're coming all the way back here. We're coming down. And I don't want to get a connection just yet. So try not to get that yellow line, just about here, across again, and vertically down. Okay, so that's approximately the shape that we're looking for. Now we can start putting in a few dimensions. So I always like to start with this largest dimension first. So 140, 5 mil up, 20 mil in, and 3 mil up. So to dimension, we're going up here to the dimension tool and clicking on the edge we want to dimension, so this one here. And we see that that's 138. When I click that, it gives me the option to change it, and I'm changing it to 140. Okay, so that length now is correct. Next one is 5, so zoom in here if you want, and I want this dimension, instead of being 7, which it is at the moment, I want it to be 5. The next dimension I'm going to do is from this dot here to this dot here. Now, if you come out here at this angle, you're taking the whole length of the line. If you come up from here, you're taking the distance they are away from each other, but I want this distance here. Okay, and that distance, as shown in the drawing, is 3. Now I want to go to the same two dots and see how far they are away, and that distance in the drawing is 20. Okay. Now I can go down to the other end of the shape, and I can go up 4, in 10, and if the whole height here is 5 plus 3, so 8, this is going to be 4 as well. So this one here is going to be 4, and as a result this line is going to be 4, and this distance here is going to be 10. And once I have that done, the whole shape should turn dark lines, and that means that the shape is fully defined. Okay, so OnShape knows exactly where every one of them lines should be. So green tick. Okay, so there's my sketch done. And step 2 now is complete. Step 3. Click extrude and extrude the shape by 6 millimeters. Okay, so to extrude you're going to want to go up to this button here, extrude, and clicking it once and then clicking the surface that you want to extrude, which is this one here. Now as a default they extrude the shape by 25 mil. I don't want to extrude it by 25 mil, I want to extrude it by 6. So just type in 6 and OnShape knows that it's millimeters that we're working in. So I've extruded that now by 6 millimeters. Green tick once that's finished, and I'm just going to go normal to the top again. Step 4. Sketch 2 circles onto the extruded surface as shown. Okay, so we want to sketch onto that extruded surface, and we want to sketch these 2 circles. So we see that this circle is 2 mil up, the center point of it is 2 mil up off this bottom line, and 7 mil away from here, and that has a diameter of 2. Okay, so I can just zoom into this area here, and the first thing I'm going to do is click on sketch. So once I click on sketch, I'm getting this prompt again, so it's saying what do you want to sketch onto. I want to sketch onto this top surface here. Okay, and we see our plane here now, so we've just sketched here. If you're looking, we are 8 mil now above that top plane. Okay, but we're looking in at the top plane. And I want to sketch a circle, so picking the circle tool, which is here. And I can just sketch a circle here wherever I want for the moment. Go into my dimension tool, and I know that the center point is 2 mil above that line. So 2. And I know that the center point is 7 mil away from this edge. 7 mil. And the last thing I know is that the diameter of this circle is 2. Okay, so circle turns black once OnShape knows exactly where it is. Come back to our drawing again, and we can see that 35.5, I believe that's meant to be. So just to make sure that this one's correct, I'll have it changed in the actual document, but just to make sure that's correct, we can go down to the working drawing, which is down here at the end, and that circle should be 35.25 as shown here, away from this edge. Okay, so I'll have that changed in the proper document. Okay, and that again is why because mine is set to 1 decimal place, so it's actually after rounding up on me. So a circle here again, and we see that the distance of that circle from this edge to the center point is 35.25. Okay, and it rounds it up to 35.3, that's fine. And it's 4 down from this top edge here, and it also has a diameter of 2. So the center point is 4 mil away from this top edge, and also has a diameter of 2. Okay, so those are my two circles now drawn in place, and once I'm finished sketching I can just green tick. Okay, part 4 done. Part 5. Click extrude and select remove. Okay, so very important that we're selecting remove here. Select the surface inside both of the circles to remove the material. Select up to next as the end type, or alternatively you can select blind and input 6mm. Green tick again once you're finished. So a lot of information there. So click on the top here again, and we want to go to extrude. And we know from using extrude already that it makes 2D shapes into 3D shapes, but which can also be used to remove material. So instead of going to add and new, we can go to remove. Okay, faces and sketch regions to extrude. I want to extrude this circle here and this circle here. So make sure you're choosing inside the circle. If you choose outside the circle, it won't make it correctly. This end type can be selected as up to next. So I'm cutting through this shape up to the next surface, and make sure again that you're clicking on remove, green tick once you're finished, and I've now removed them circles from that shape. Okay, so there's no extrude cut feature, it's extrude and remove in OnShape. Step 6. Sketch this shape onto the front plane, extrude cut or remove 3mm of material from the shape. Okay, so we can see here where we're making this cut. So going back to my OnShape, and it said that we're doing it onto this front plane. Okay, and again we are sketching this shape here onto it. So I'm going to start with a rough sketch of that. So sketch, and clicking again on the surface we want to sketch onto, which is this one, and I'm sketching a line, and I'm going to roughly sketch that shape that I'm looking for. Okay, so I've roughly sketched it, and now I want to do a small bit of dimensioning. So I'm going to grab my dimension tool, and the first thing I see is that this line is 1mm away from this edge. So that's going to be 1mm. Next thing I see is that the overall length of this edge is 1mm, and the overall, or 10mm, and the overall length of this edge is 5mm. So 10 and 5. Okay, next thing I see is that this is 1mm, this is 2mm, and this is 1mm. So this edge here, 1mm. This edge here is 2mm, and this edge here is 1mm as well. Okay, and the final dimension that I should need is that from here to here is 1mm as well. Okay, and we see that that now turns black, which means it's fully defined, and that sketch is now done. So green tick once we finish that sketch, and that closes the sketch. Okay, and just to finish off, step 6 there would be to extrude, cut or remove 3mm of material from this shape. So going to extrude, clicking on remove, faces and sketching regions to extrude would be this one here, and we're cutting into that 3mm, so 3mm. Okay, and we see now that we've taken that section out of it. Okay, step 7, sketch rectangle 1 onto the front plane and rectangle 2 onto the opposite side of the shape. Okay, so this one's slightly more difficult. So we have two sides of the shape. So one side is the side that we just made the cut on, and we're sketching this rectangle onto that side. And then on the opposite side is this side. So we're sketching this rectangle onto the opposite side. So we're going to start with the side we just did the extrude on. And we see that we have a rectangle that is 14 mil wide, and that is 1.5 mil away from this surface and 1.5 mil away from this surface. Okay, that would make this line 5 mil. The final thing we have is a 28 mil away from the end of the shape. Okay, so let's try to draw that one. So this is where we just took the cut out of, so I can look straight in at this surface. And we know that the rectangle is going to be somewhere over here. So again, I'm going to sketch, and I'm sketching onto this surface. I'm going to choose corner rectangle. Now there's a couple of rectangles you can choose from. You can choose from the center point, or you can choose from corner. I'm going to choose corner. And I'm going to sketch a rectangle around where I think it's going to be. Okay, over here to our dimension, which is this one. And the first thing I remember is that from here to here it's going to be 1.5. And from here to here it's going to be 1.5. Okay, and by default that's going to make this 3 mil. But if I click that now, it's going to over-define the shape, so I don't want to do that. Next thing I remember is that it's 14 wide. So again, go to my dimension, choosing this and making that 14 mil. And the final thing is that from this point here, or edge to this edge here, is 28 mil as far as I remember. Yeah, 28 mil. So 2, 8. Okay, and that pushes that rectangle down here, and it all turns black, which means that it's fully defined. So green tick once we're finished that sketch. And we're just going to leave that sketch there for a minute, because we remember that if we look over the other side of the shape here now, so normal to the back of the shape, and we can see the hidden detail here, we need another rectangle drawn here. So this is rectangle 2 now we're working at on the back of the shape. And we see that this one is slightly wider, it's 23 wide. It's still 1.5 from here, still 1.5 from here, and it's 20 from this edge, 24 from this edge. So I'm going to draw that one into place now. So again, sketch, and we're asked what do we want to sketch onto. We want to sketch onto this surface here. Make sure it's this surface, not this surface here or this surface down here. You want to sketch onto this surface. And again, choosing corner rectangle, and I'm going to draw a rectangle roughly where I think it's going to finish up. Okay, up here to my smart dimension tool, and I remember that from here to here is 1.5, and that from this line here to this line here is 1.5. Now sometimes this line will come up, and if you click that and click here, it'll say that the dimension cannot be created between these two items because it's on the far side of the shape, so we don't want to have that one. So here and here, 1.5. Okay, it's 23 wide, so this line here is 23, and the final thing from that is that from here to here, this edge to this edge is 24 mil. Okay, green tick once that's finished. And now we have a sketch on either side of that shape. Okay. Step 8. Select loft. Select rectangle 1 and 2 as the profiles of the loft. So here the profile, select both of them rectangles. Select remove to remove the material. So we're actually going to make a cut in between these two materials with a loft. And then green tick once you're finished. Okay, so to show you how to do that, I am going to this feature here, which is called loft, and the first thing it's asking me is new, add, remove or intersect, so I'm going to choose remove. Next thing it's asking me is profiles, so I want to choose the two rectangles I just drew as profiles, so this one here, the larger one, and this one here opposite it, the smaller one. Okay, no need to worry about everything under this, and green tick once that's finished. And we can see that we're actually after removing that surface from in there. Okay, look in there at the top again. So that is step number 8 done. Step number 9, select normal to the right plane and sketch this shape onto the leg of the compass. Remove 1mm of the material using the extrude remove feature. Okay, so we want to look at this part of the leg. So that would be like looking here, and I'm pretty sure it said from the right plane. So if you click on right, it should rotate into this position here, if you've been following the steps correctly. Okay, and we can see that there. And what we're drawing here is a circle that is in the center of that shape with a diameter of 2mm. The center point is 1.5 mil away from here. So I'm going to start with a circle shape. So again, going to sketch, and it's asking me what I want to sketch onto. So make sure you're not sketching onto this surface here. You want to sketch onto this surface. Okay, grabbing my circle, and if I hover along this line, I'll eventually be greeted with the center point. If I move away from that center point, I can see that broken line. The dashed line means that, okay, you're going perpendicular now to that center point, which is where I want to be. Okay, and making a circle approximately 2 mil, and then we'll be dimensioning that as diameter 2 mil. Okay, next thing I want to do is grab a line and hover over the center point and just move up. And again, I see that dashed line, and where it clicks here, I'm going to go horizontally across until it meets this surface. Okay, and I want to do the exact same thing, but down here, and then join it up to close the shape. Okay, once I've closed that shape, I now want to get rid of this half of the circle. So if you go to this scissors, which is trim, and trim that, it now gets rid of it. Last thing I want to do is dimension that, and as far as I remember, from here to here, 1.5, and it should go black then to show that it's a fully defined shape. So green tick once you've finished that, and as it said in the step number 9, what I have to do here now is remove a bit of this material. So we're going to extrude, and again, just make sure that you're clicking on remove. If you don't click on remove, it's going to start extruding away from the material like that, which is not what we want. We want to remove it, and this end type needs to be either up to next, which will bring you just this distance here, or you could also have it as blind 1mm. Okay, both will do the same job. Okay, and we see now that we have a cut taken out of there. And again, I'm just going to go to the top. Step number 10. So this is now working with reference geometry. So select normal to the top plane, which is where I am now at the moment, and go to the toolbar and select the plane icon. So the plane icon is shown here. Click on the plane surface and click on the top surface and set the distance to 3mm. This will create a plane in the center of the shape running parallel to the top plane. If it does not, you might need to switch the direction of the offset of the plane. Okay, so to show you what we're doing here, we want to go up and create a plane. So you can create loads of different reference geometry here, but we're working with the most simple one, which is just a plane. And it's asking now for a reference, so it's going to be this top surface here. And we can see now that it's a plane after moving off that top surface. Okay, we want it to move 3mm away from it. So now we can see that that plane is just 3mm away from that top surface, but I want it to be in the center of this shape. So to make it in the center of this shape, I need to flip offset distance. So flipping that, and now I see I have a plane drawn directly in the middle of that shape. Green tick once you're finished, and it now calls itself plane 1. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to hide these other planes for a moment, and I'll be able to show you that that plane is working straight down through that shape. Okay, we see that's cutting it here. Okay, so that's how to do step number 10. Step 11. Select normal to the top plane and draw this rectangle. Select extrude, remove, and remove 1 millimeter of material. So from this edge we're moving in 55 and we're drawing a rectangle that is 1 mil from either side here, and that is 6 mil tall. Okay, so I'm going to start here with a sketch onto this top plane, and I'm going to sketch a center rectangle this time to show you how the center rectangle works. I'm just going to draw a rectangle approximately where I think that is going to be. Okay, so we see that this time now the center rectangle starts at the center point, and you drag it away from the center point to make it bigger and smaller. Okay, dimensioning that, I know that from this edge here to this edge here is going to be 55 mil. I also know that the overall width of that is 65. Okay, and the final thing is that from here to here is 1 mil, and that from this edge here to this edge here is 1 mil as well. So that's all shown in that drawing down below. And again, shape goes black when it's fully defined. Green tick. Next thing I said was to extrude, remove that, so make sure you're clicking remove, and we're removing this by 1 mil. And we see that that cuts into the shape just by 1 mil, which is exactly what we're trying to do. Step 11. Select mirror. The icon is shown, so this icon here. Sorry, that's a bit fuzzy. And select feature mirror. So I have that in bold. Just make sure you're choosing feature mirror when you click this drop down menu instead of part mirror. So if you're part mirroring it, it'll actually create a different part, which is not what we want to do at all. Feature mirror and extrude remove from step 11, and the mirror plane is the plane that we created in step 10. Okay, so what we're doing now is we want to mirror this cut across the plane that we just created, which is plane 1, over onto this other side. So that's why we created that plane. We want to flip this cut to the other side. Okay, so to do that, going up here to mirror, and again, very important, select feature mirror. Now, next thing it's asking is, what feature do you want to mirror? I want to mirror this cut. That's what we want to cut. We want to mirror that cut. And then the mirror plane is this plane 1. So we can go and we can select it here. And we can see now that it's flipped that cut across to the other side. Green tick. Okay, so we see our leg now is starting to come together nicely. And we have a cut on either side. Right, step 13 now. Sketch this 3-point ellipse. Drop down menu beside the circle is where you find that feature. Onto the section onto the section that's left over after making the mirror cut. So we're sketching an ellipse onto this cut here. Select extrude, remove, and remove the ellipse up to next. Okay, so we want to draw an ellipse with a major axis of 8 and a minor axis of 4. That center point is 6 mil away from one of this edge here. Okay, so I'm going to look straight in at the top again, and I want to go to sketch. And very important here that we're sketching onto this cut surface. So as I said, the area that's left over. Okay, so clicking on that, and I want to go to the drop down menu beside circle. So ellipse is found there. So this 3-point ellipse. Again, I'm going to hover over this line to find the center point, and I'm just going to move out here, and I'm going to start drawing my ellipse. So start with the major, then do the minor. Okay, and I can dimension that now. So from here to here is going to be 6. The major is going to be 8, and the minor is going to be 4. Okay, and we see that goes black once it's fully defined. Green tick, and we're going to extrude. And making sure that we click on remove on this surface here, up to next. Green tick. So we see we have an ellipse now cut out of this section, and we want to do another 5 of them ellipses now in a row. Now what I could do is start measuring out and start cutting each one individually. However, there's a lot easier way, and that way is described here in step 14. So select linear pattern, the icon is shown here. Select feature pattern. Okay, and again this is bold, don't pick part pattern. The feature to pattern is the extrude cut from step 13, so this extrude cut that we just did here on step 13. The direction of the pattern is any horizontal edge, so we can choose any of these horizontal edges here. The distance is 10.5 millimeters. The number of instances count is 6, and this will create a linear pattern of the ellipse as shown below. So it's going to create a pattern like this. So let's try to do that. We're going to click here on linear pattern, and again, most important thing, go here to feature pattern. It won't work if we don't go to feature pattern. Features to pattern is the extrude, this one here, so this extrude cut. I'm just selecting it here on this menu. The direction, I'm just going to choose this edge here, but you can choose any of these edges that are run horizontally. Instance count is going to be 6, so we need 6 of them, and the distance is going to be 10.5. Okay, now we see that them ellipses are going off in this direction to the left. So this might or might not happen to you, depending on which side you draw your ellipses on. But either way, once you flip that direction there, you'll get them to line up nicely. And once they're lined up properly, green tick, and those are our ellipses now drawn into place. And they cut through to the other side. Step 15 is to fillet all the hard edges of the shape with fillets ranging from 0.5 millimeters to 2.5. So what I do there when I'm filleting is I will go to these 2 edges first. Okay, so they're the 2 most important ones to look out for when you're filleting. Go to fillet and set your radius to 2.5 millimeters. Zoom in and just click on both of these edges. Okay, it might be 2 actually. Yeah, 2 millimeters, sorry. And here you get this wavy edge, which is what we're looking for. Green tick. And the rest of the shape can be filleted with a 0.5. So go to fillet and change this to 0.5, and I can start filleting a few of these hard edges here. So what I'd be thinking is like this circle here, and here on the other side, and on the inside here as well. Okay, and I might choose this surface and the opposite surface, and I'd probably choose this surface in here and this surface in here, and I see there that I get a lot of my shape filleted. So green tick, and you can just go over yourself and have a look and see what other hard edges you'd like to fillet. So here would be one that I'd fillet straight away. And 5.5, try to keep them uniform, and just check on the other side of the shape and look around there to see which ones you'd fillet and what you'd leave as a hard edge. So there would be another one I'd fillet. Okay, once you're finished filleting, you can click on the appearance panel, the icon is shown, and double click on the object's current color. Okay, so you'll see that in a second. Select your desired finish. So I went for a grey colour like this because that is what the actual compass has, a grey colour like this. And once you're finished, you can just leave the document. Okay, there's no need to wait around or try to save the document. You can just leave it straight away and it auto saves. Okay, so clicking on this appearance panel, and as I said, click on its current color, which is this one here. Double click on that, and I'm going to go for this grey. Green tick once you're finished. Okay, final thing what I might do there, just before I finish, is to hide this plane, so you're not looking at that. I'd probably hide the origin as well. Okay, it was useful there, but I don't need it anymore. And I'd right click here and just rename this. And rename that compass leg. Okay, and you can then leave that whenever, because that saves automatically. Okay, so that's how to do the leg. In the next part we'll be looking at how to do the top of the compass. Okay, hope you found this helpful. Let me know if you have any questions. You can just drop me an email.